I get a cup and I'll pour it out in the morning to prevent being physically abused, and also to make sure my dad had proper rest. So these are things that stem with for not having boundaries, even as a child. And you see how it affects you, in adulthood. And for me, like, he had a right to have good sleep. I had a right to use the restroom. And you often forget about your rights and you feel guilty about the other person and you don't think about yourself. And that is how the abuse continues. And that's why I'm so glad you're listening to the podcast today, so that you know that you're worthy too. You can do it. You can have personal boundaries. It's not wrong for you to have them, because someone will tell you no in a minute, won't blink an eye and tell you no, and won't give you an explanation at all, because they're thinking about themselves. Okay? Now, number 5, that you have no boundaries. You are often tired for no apparent reason. Always doing what others want means you are left to cram your own life and the time left over, which is exhausting. But never identifying and pursuing your own dreams in life can cause a sense of fatigue, as it can cause mild depression. Setting boundaries, on the other hand, tends to be energizing. Okay? And we touched on that in the other explanations, being very tired of that example of going to the movie at 8, and you have appointments that you already set. You're pushing your whole life to the side for this person and not thinking about yourself, and the person wouldn't do it for you. They would not, because they have their own personal boundaries. And the thing is, we have to understand that if someone gets mad that we have a personal boundary, that's a red flag. That's a toxic human being that wants to be in control. It is very possible that somebody can break a boundary because they don't know. But if you explain it to them and they're like, okay, thank you for telling me that, I'll understand moving forward, I won't do that with you, that's fine. Because people make mistakes. Now, when it comes down to having a full-blown attitude, making you feel guilty, being angry, throwing stuff, or belittling you because you have said boundary, that's a person to zoom out like Sonic the Hedgehog out of their life. Because you know what's going to happen? That is going to increase the control and abuse, because what they're going to do is make sure the relationship is fear-based and get you further and further and further and further away from your boundaries that you set. Now, number 6, your radar is off when it comes to sharing. Lacking personal boundaries can lead to oversharing private details of your life with people you just met, leaving you open to hurt and manipulation. Conversely, it can lead to not sharing enough with those who are trying to get close to you because you don't know how to share your needs and wants. It might suffer intimacy issues. Okay? So, being an empath, being empathetic to those. When you're sharing your life, you're thinking that, they're like me. A person wouldn't be evil to me on purpose because I wouldn't be evil, to someone on purpose. And so that's the process. That is the, thought process of an empath. Like, I'm sharing my life with them and, we can bond on this, But unfortunately, because we didn't, gauge the person, they use this and put this in their arsenal. Narcissists put your life stories. You could say, oh, I suffer, for the past 6 years, I've been suffering from anxiety and depression. Okay? Say this in the beginning of your relationship. A few months down the line, they announce it at a public event to discredit you because they are holding it in their back pocket just for the day to destroy you from the inside out. Okay? And I have to be honest, a lot of times I, overshare with people, and I really, as I'm educating myself on abuse, healthy boundaries, and self-love and things like that, I'm learning to properly know when to say something and when not to, and actually look at their behaviors for a long period of time, observe, and not be so emotionally based on, oh, I want this particular relationship. I want this particular relationship to work so much, so I will give all of myself prematurely. So I'm learning that. And you guys, I'm very encouraged because I know you all can do the same. I know that you guys can create proper boundaries to ensure that you're starting on the process of self-love and making sure you are protecting yourself, because it's not our fault at the end of the day that we're loving, caring, and open. It's still the predator's fault for trying to use someone that is compassionate. However, we can prevent the future abuse just by educating ourselves. And every day I try to learn something more so it can assist me from predatory behavior, and it's a process. It takes time. It is very painful to say no, and it's very scary. Okay? Now, number 7, you are constantly the victim of situations. If you have no boundaries, you might tend to feel hard done by because others will take advantage of you in both obvious and subtle ways. You might always feel overlooked or blamed at work, in your family, and in your social circles. You might even be the sort of person that things always seem to go wrong for. So, for example, you said, I will not drive anyone in my car that doesn't give me gas. So the friend or someone comes up to you saying, oh, I need a car ride. I got you. I'll give you gas. They don't give you gas. And you're like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll call them and let you know. Call them and let them know. Okay? You don't hear anything from them. They kind of fade out and ghost you. And then a few months later, oh, can I have a ride? And you don't put any boundaries in place to let them know, okay, this time I need the money up front. Because if I don't have the money up front, then I can't take you. Because if you continue to let them into the car, they're going to continue to run your gas out. And guess who's at the disadvantage? You. Because at the end of the day, they're still getting the ride. And it's supposed to be a trade-off. You shouldn't be getting the short end of the stick when you're the one that's taking the time out of your day to drive someone places. And this is the same thing with your life. You shouldn't get the short end of the stick when you're being compassionate. And I feel like we feel as if we're not compassionate when we're having boundaries. You can have boundaries with compassion. Because compassion is making sure people are accountable for their actions towards you. It's actually giving them a lesson, a positive lesson on accountability to treat you the right way. Number 8, you are a tiny bit annoyed most of the time. If you often feel slightly annoyed with people, edgy, or a bit off, it can be because you are going against your own values and desires nonstop. The feeling can be supported by always feeling worried what others think and feeling guilty for the things you secretly want. And again, we definitely went over this. It's been some times where somebody asked me for a drive from work. They're way out of the way. They're 25 minutes out. I wanted to go to the gym for my gym classes. But against what I truly want, I was like, oh yeah, I'll take you. And guess what? Missed the class. Then happens another day. And it goes on, then it goes on for weeks, then it goes on for months. Because why? I didn't set a boundary in place to just say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And then, worst thing that can happen, they get mad at you. But you know what? They'll have to look for another person. And that's the thing. Number 9, you secretly feel like others don't show you respect. Boundaries give others a manual on how you expect to be treated and what behavior you will allow to be a part of your life. If you don't set boundaries, people won't know how to act around you, and you will be feeling disrespected. The other side of this coin is without your own boundaries, you are less likely to recognize those of others and might unwittingly be disrespecting them. So definitely. And this goes again with what I was saying before, because when you don't state what it is, people are like, I'm going to do what I want to do. If it inconveniences you, I don't care. And this goes again with the empathy piece of, I don't understand why I respect people so much, but they feel like they can take advantage of me at every point. And then the person that says no to them, because you get angry. The other person that says no to them, they do respect them. And you're just wondering in your mind, like, what's going on? What's wrong with me that I can't be respected? You know? Number 10, you might be passive aggressive. If you always say no when you secretly want to say yes, you'll find that you later feel upset and disempowered, and this often leads to trying to manipulate back the energy and power you lost by nagging the other person or complaining or even punishing them in little ways. In other words, a bad case of passive aggression. You might always blame others all the time, which is a way of not facing up to the fact that really you didn't set a boundary and that you are the one who is responsible for your life. And again, that is another situation. We don't know that we're responsible for our life because we weren't taught we were. We were taught that things happen to us and people made decisions for us. Whatever someone else says goes. Therefore, we have no sense of boundary. We don't even know the definition of what a boundary is. You know? So that's why it's important for us to get deeper and deeper into learning these things so we're not manipulated, and that we can have